Friends, welcome back to Divine Grace YouTube channel. The year 2020 has left us with its indelible stain and ineffaceable memories in the hearts and minds of people all over the world due to the pandemic attack. It is still ruining our planet by defiling the humanity and its safety. Despite the fact that the year imparted us with many good things, the devastation and the tumult of pandemic's after effect has outnumbered the blessings of the year. We have faced uncertainties, we have seen many unwanted, painful and heart-throbbing episodes. We have lost many of our dear ones, friends, relatives, colleagues. Countless people have lost their dear aging parents. Many of them never returned from the hospitals, and the families could never imagine that it was their last meeting with their dear ones when they left their homes. The families could not even pay their last homage to their dear departed. They were destined to suffer silently the loss of their loved ones, either in the hospitals or other places. Witnessing and experiencing all these agonizing episodes, I contemplate that it would be very pertinent to speak on the topic on grieving the loss of our loved ones. It might shed some light to those who are going through this phase of grieving over the loss of their loved ones, for whom it is tough to accept this naked reality. Perhaps it might help them to make it easy to stride the pathway of this year with hope, expectation, confidence and courage. In your imagination, can you envisage that precious moment of your birth when you were born? I am sure you will be delighted to spot yourself wrapped up in supple linen, sleeping beside your mom in utmost warmth, tenderness and love. You know, when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced at your arrival. Now, I want to ask you one of the most difficult questions. Can you think for a moment the reasons why most people dislike talking and even imagining about death? It will be nice to reflect on what you fear most about dying. It might seem eccentric, isn't it? But death is a component of our existence. If God has created us and has given us life, one day we are designed to die. There is no other choice, but when and how will be determined by that God who created us. We have no right over it. Rather, we have the responsibility to live that life to the fullest as long as we live. Losing someone or something you love is very painful. After a major loss, you may experience all kinds of complex and startling emotions such as shock, anger and guilt. Sometimes it may feel like the sadness will never allow you to rise above. While these feelings can be alarming and crushing, they are normal reactions to loss. What I want to stress here is that complaining or accepting those feelings are part of the grieving process, and allowing yourself to feel what you feel is necessary for healing. When we speak of grieving, we must understand that there is no precise way to grieve, but there are healthy ways to deal with the pain. You can get through it. When you are able to express your grief, it has a probability of speeding up your healing that eventually can build up and enhance your life. What is grief? Grief is a natural response to loss. It's the poignant or distressing anguish you feel when something or someone you love is taken away from you. But do not forget that any loss can cause grief. What are the various losses that we experience in our life? When you have a broken relationship, when you or your loved ones experience a chronic illness or serious health issues, when you lose your job, especially these days when many people are deprived of their jobs once the pandemic set in, when people experience loss of financial stability, all the more due to the pandemic, when your home is destroyed either by natural calamities or by human-made calamities, it is then you lose your safety, security and belongingness. You feel you have nothing and no one to hold on. When a woman experiences a miscarriage, when we face certain major changes, predominantly hormonal changes in a particular stage of life, for example, when a woman attains menopause, for some it can be overwhelming and devastating experience as they go through physical, emotional and psychological changes. When you experience the death of your pet, when someone faces the loss of a cherished dream, when you feel cheated by your boyfriend or girlfriend, all the more when you see him or her with a new friend, when you experience the loss of safety after a trauma, and more specifically when the world is no more a safe place to live in because of the pandemic, other atrocities, and most recently we see the plight of our farmers who are fighting for their rights at the capital and struggling to stay on in this biting cold. They feel the loss of their rights, they feel the loss of their identity, they feel the loss of their existence, they feel the loss of their hard work and their contribution to the nation. These and many more are losses over which we grieve. It's time to wake up for us as a nation, as their cry is our cry, their pain is our pain, and help them in our own way to infuse back in them the hope to live a peaceful and sustainable life ahead. The government needs to heed to the cries of the farmers. They should lend their ears to hear what they speak. They must see why they are relentless in their demands. They have to feel what the farmers experience and be proactive as early as possible. Don't you agree with me that this is one of the major losses in the history of India? Everyone grieves differently. Even though everyone experiences grief when they lose someone, grieving affects people in varied ways. Why is it so? The more significant the loss, the more intense the grief would be. The course of grieving takes time and the healing usually happens gradually. However, even subtle losses can lead to grief. For example, you might experience grief after moving away from home for the first time, when you graduate from your college, when you change jobs, when you sell your family home, or when you retire from a career you loved so long. Grieving is a personal and highly individual experience. What are the factors that affect grief? How you grieve depends on many factors: your personality, your coping style, your life experiences, your faith aspects, your proximity and connection with the God whom you believe in, and the nature of the loss. The grieving process takes time. Healing happens gradually, as I told you already. It cannot be forced or hurried, and there is no normal timetable for grieving. There is no right or wrong time frame for grieving. How long it takes can differ from person to person. Some people start to feel better in weeks or months. For others, the grieving process is measured in years. Whatever your grief experience, it's important to be patient with yourself and allow the process to unfold naturally. That means do not force yourself or do not force on others. Allow the person to go through this crucial point in time in his own phase and time. And at the same time, have a close watch on the person, especially when he or she is emotionally drifting away from normalcy. We need to pay attention when a person tries to ignore the pain or keep it from surfacing. Subsequently, it will only make it worse in the long run. For real healing, it is necessary to face your grief and actively deal with it. Some individuals say they are fine and no personal issues, busy with their daily work, at times even working hard without even having time for oneself. Oftentimes, men try to avoid their feelings. In a way, it is concealed in their subconscious. But all may not be able to handle it. Sooner or later, you will see some changes transpire in the person, like you become easily offended, ready to pick a fight. You become upset about every little things that happens around you. You become restless, moody, angry, at times sad and disturbed. At other times, you withdraw and stay aloof. Thus, you might fall sick physically and even emotionally. Knowingly or unknowingly, you have repressed your feelings of sadness and grief, and unconsciously, you are telling to yourself that I am okay, I am fine, I am good. In fact, you are not, and you are struggling within. So, if the person is mistakenly trying to stay away from the reality, it is our responsibility who are close to them to have a check with the person and tell them that I notice these changes in you these days. Why don't you ensure with yourself if something is happening or need to be looked into? The person might introspect and even tell you sooner, yes, what you told me is correct and I am working on it. Sometimes, it can also happen when a person has not had sufficient time for grieving and had to be back to their office due to their pressing responsibilities. But it's always good to come to terms with oneself and with the unfinished work if we have left behind our emotional baggage, so that we experience wellness, wholeness, happiness, fulfillment and overall well-being of body, mind and spirit. Thus, you can move on in life with enthusiasm, energy and confidence. Feeling sad, frightened or lonely is a normal reaction to loss. Crying doesn't mean that you are weak. You don't need to protect your family or friends by putting on a brave front. Showing your true feelings can help them and you as well. Crying is a normal response to sadness, but it's not the only one. Those who do not cry may feel the pain just as deeply as others. They may simply have other ways of showing it. Our grieving is as individual as our lives. There are various stages that we go through during our grief. The first is denial. During this stage, we refuse to believe what has happened to us. We try in our mind to tell ourselves that life is as it was before our loss. We can even crack to believe to an extent by reenacting rituals that we used to go through with our loved ones. Sometimes we set an extra plate at the table. We expect them to be there when we get back home. Then we flash back to memories and conversations. These are all part of this stage as we are not yet prepared to accept the reality. The second stage is anger. We become angry with ourselves, with others, with our surroundings, and with everything. The anger can manifest itself in many ways. We might even react to people. We might destroy sometimes things. We blame others for our loss. We become easily agitated, having emotional outbursts. The third stage is bargaining. Bargaining can be with ourselves or even with our God. Time and again, we will negotiate with our God and put forward our suggestions that we will do something or do better in double amount to try to take away the reality of what really happened with us. We might try to make certain transactions with the God to have our loved ones back as they were before the tragic event occurred. For we are fragile human beings, and in the heart of heart, we are all selfish and possessive of our loved ones as long as we are alive and want them back with us forever. Depression is the fourth stage that the grieving person goes through. This is the most difficult of the stages to deal with. There can be a feeling of tiredness, hopelessness, and meaninglessness. At times, you simply experience outbursts of tears. You don't find any more purpose in your life. You might feel that you are punished. You do not find any more joy or happiness to live. Some individuals may even have suicidal thoughts. If someone feels such excruciating pain and thought processes, then it's essential to seek professional help to protect you and your family. The fifth stage is acceptance, and this is the final stage of grief. You enter at this stage when you know that you have to go on and live your life. Now you are able to accept your loss and be able to regain your vigor and goals for the future. It may take some time to get to this stage, but definitely you will get there. In the course of time, you will realize that grief is a roller coaster, not a series of stages full of ups and downs, highs and lows. Like many roller coasters, the ride tends to be rougher in the beginning. The loss may be deeper and longer. The difficult periods should become less intense and shorter as time goes by. But it takes time to work through a loss. Even years after a loss, especially at special events such as family wedding or the birth of a child, we may still experience a strong sense of grief. What are the common symptoms of grief? Just remember that almost anything that you experience in the early stages of grief is normal, including feeling like you are going crazy, feeling like you are in a bad dream, or questioning your God. Next could be shock and disbelief. Right after a loss, it can be hard to accept what has happened to you. You may feel numb. You have trouble believing that the loss really happened or even deny the truth. Another feelings could be sadness. Deep sadness is probably the most commonly experienced symptom of grief. You may have feelings of emptiness, despair, yearning, or deep loneliness. You may also cry a lot or feel emotionally unstable at times. Another symptom could be guilt. You may be apologetic or feel guilty about things you did or you did not do or you did not say. You may also feel guilty about certain feelings. After a death, you may even feel guilty for not doing something to prevent the death, even if there was nothing more you could have done. Another symptom could be anger. Even if the loss was nobody's fault, you may feel angry and resentful. If you lost a loved one, you may be angry at yourself, God, the doctors, or you might be angry at the person who died for abandoning you. You may feel the need to blame someone for the injustice that was done to you. Another symptom could be fear. A major loss can set off a multitude of worries and uncertainties. You may feel anxious, helpless, or insecure. You may even have panic attacks. We often think of grief as a strictly emotional process, but grief often involves physical problems including fatigue, nausea, lowered immunity, weight loss or weight gain, aches and pains, and insomnia. Now let's see what are some of the coping skills that we can adopt. The first one is to get support. The most imperative feature in healing from loss is having the support of other people. Even if you aren't comfortable talking about your feeling under normal circumstances, it's vital to express them when you are grieving. Sharing your loss makes the burden of grief easier to carry. Wherever the support comes from, accept it and do not grieve alone. Connecting to others will help you heal better. Secondly, turn to friends and family members. Now is the time to lean on the people who care about you, even if you take pride in being strong and self-sufficient. Draw loved ones close rather than avoiding them and accept the support that is presented to you. Oftentimes what happens is that people want to help but don't know how. So tell them what you need, whether it's a shoulder to cry on or help with major things. Now it's time for you to turn to God and draw strength. Engage or spend some time in your spiritual activities that are meaningful to you, such as praying, meditating, or going to church, temple, mosque, gurudwara, or wherever you find solace and comfort in the divine can offer consolation. Fourthly, get involved with a support group. Grief can make you feel very lonely, even if you have loved ones around. Sharing your sorrow with others who have experienced similar losses can help you heal better. Fifthly, take care of yourself. During this time, it's more important than ever to take care of yourself. The strain of a loss can rapidly drain your energy and emotional treasury. Looking after your physical and emotional needs will help you get through this difficult time. Face your feelings. You can try to hold back your grief, but you can't avoid it forever. In order to heal, you have to recognize the pain. Trying to evade feelings of sadness and loss only prolongs the grieving process. Unresolved grief can also lead to complications such as depression, anxiety, emotional disturbances, substance abuse, and health problems. Now, you must be in a condition to express your feelings in a tangible or creative way. Write about your loss in a journal. If you have lost a loved one, write a letter saying the things you never got to say. Make a photo album celebrating the person's life, or get involved in a cause or organization that was important to him or her. Look after your physical health. The mind and body are connected. When you feel good physically, You will also feel better emotionally. Combat stress and fatigue by getting enough sleep, eating right, and exercising. Don't use alcohol or drugs to numb the pain of grief or lift your disposition unnaturally. Next point could be try to be patient with yourself, with others, with time, with your surroundings, and be flexible. Lastly, find time to read inspirational books. Listen to uplifting, mind refreshing, rejuvenating songs and music. Finally, let no one tell you how to feel, and don't tell yourself how to feel either. Your grief is your own, and no one else can tell you when it is time to move on or get over it. It's okay to be angry, to yell at your God, for He understands you. It's okay to cry or not to cry. It's also okay to laugh, to find moments of joy, and to let go when you are ready. That is most essential. Above all, take care of yourself, your family, and your significant others. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay hopeful, and be protected. Thank you.